Hi everyone, welcome to the PlayStation Access podcast, where we're settling in for a cozy session of beating our gaming backlogs. By that I mean we simply discuss them and actually do nothing to solve the growing list of games we desperately want to play. Relatable, hey? Expect what games you can look forward to for the rest of this year, the long-lost memories of a pink PSP, and the blessing of beautiful song. Let's go! Hello everybody, welcome to the PlayStation Access podcast, the official podcast of PlayStation UK, and we are here for a lovely episode on beating the backlog, getting through those games that live in the dark recesses of our game libraries that we haven't got round to yet in this floaty period between Halloween and Christmas that is just prime fertile ground for game playing. Now, as you'll notice, there are only 3 of us today as one is missing, getting on with said backlog. So we've left him to do that. The space is empty.
I'll try and slam it as loud as possible so the mic picks it up.
There you go.
There you go. That's
Rosie.
an empty seat.
That's Rosie slapping the bare air.
Have some of that.
Yeah. Where Dave should be. Where Dave should be. So to let you know who is here, I've given us some lovely wintry names for this cold, dark, grey period.
Ooh.
I am Ashsicle, which is just nice and twee.
That's very good,
that's
yeah.
cute.
A nice little twee name. Rob, I just built on yours from last week. Whenever I come up with a name with you, it's always just something that exists that I'm like, yeah, that'll do. So yours is Rob.
What, like a cat? Oh, like you
Rob. It's like Ed and Eddie, that does.
Rob.
That's you.
That was a big
For God's sake.
So that's for when you called.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
You're very welcome. Rosie, yours is Snosy.
Oh, that's a cute name.
Oh my God, you made me...
Ashsicle, Snosy and Brob.
No.
Brob.
Thank you. It sounds like a Gatling gun when you do it.
I was thinking you sound like it's something on a TV advert. You know when you have like the little tune at the end or something like charming or it's like Rob. It just sounds like something that would be in a TV ad to me.
It's like a toilet roll advert, isn't it? Yeah. Right, well, there's too much tomfoolery going on here. If Dave were here, he would be cold Dave. So I still feel like Rob got away
And
better.
he'd be giving us all a cold stare and saying, get through this intro.
He would, and we are, and I am, and I'm going to tell you what is coming up on this episode of the PlayStation Access podcast. So we have got the main feature, which is a lovely casual game chat about the backlog, what we're playing at the moment, what we want to play, just all that fun stuff that comes with being a gamer. Then we've got I did a little peace sign for those listening who couldn't watch then. We've then got the comments of the week, which are community highlights from the hashtag Pod Squad. Thank you guys. Very neat, very together.
We were on it.
We were on it.
They're very well practiced now. I just shout that in the office and they have to respond. Otherwise, it's a paddling.
Death.
Otherwise, paddling. Then we've got Before We Go, which is some lovely chat outside of gaming about what we're watching, what we're listening to, what we're reading, what we're doing as human beings. But first, I'm going to have to ask the ever-persistent question that comes up every week, and there's no way around it. What's new? Okay, guys, we're in the What's New section. Are you thrilled? Are you excited?
I am, but for me, there's only Ragnarok. Oh. That's the only thing that's new.
And that's not even new.
New forever for me.
It is so good. We had a whole podcast on it last week, though, Rob, so we're going to have to give the people something
I finished it now, though. That's new.
That's new.
That is
Although,
new.
by the time this podcast airs, I imagine everyone will have finished it.
Maybe. Hopefully I will have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, every time I think I get it somewhere, it's like side quests. I'm like, I can't leave the side quests. I have to do the side quests. I can't leave them alone. So who knows?
It takes so much time to like just go and do everything before you get to the end. But I think it's the best way of doing it because like the cleaning up the collectibles is nice at the end, but you want to have like helped all the people along the way.
You want to have done some stuff.
Yeah, you want to get some things.
Yeah.
Don't you? Anyway, this isn't even the What's New section. This is
the God of War Ragnarok section that's now going to be a part of every PlayStation Access podcast. Should we have our little quick 2-minute talk about Ragnarok? Yeah. Okay.
I wish we could, but like I just need to talk about spoilers like completely all the time. I need to talk about what's happened.
Well, maybe hopefully we're going to have like a special little bonus episode where we can talk about spoilers, but not now.
No, not right now. Not at time of recording.
No.
So I figured for our What's New section this week, we could have a little chat about the upcoming games still to come in 2022. So the stuff that we're still looking forward to. So first up, I have to get out of the way because, I've mentioned it like every time there's an upcoming game.
Horror? Is this a horror game?
Yeah, it's the Callisto Protocol again.
It's a big...
It's a big old game, huh?
Big game coming out. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah.
From what I've seen so far, I mean, you've actually played bits of
I
it.
have.
But it looks so good.
I
When-
saw
when's
Glenn
it out?
Schofield.
When's
It's
it
on
out?
the 2nd of December.
That's really soon.
Yeah! Yeah! I'm so excited. I'm really gassed for it to come out. I'm really gassed to play it. Like, I can't wait. So if anybody who maybe hasn't heard me go on about it or hasn't heard of the game before, it is a sci-fi horror game made by Striking Distance Studios, which was founded by Dead Space creator Glenn Schofield. So you can expect like gritty, dirty, mucky sci-fi horror full of mutated extraterrestrial business as your man Jacob goes round and does his thing in a prison on a moon of Jupiter, hence
As you do.
Callisto.
Just do your thing.
Yeah, he's trying to escape a prison on a moon of Jupiter, and everything's gone bad. So there's your rundown of the game. It looks really good. It looks very squishy. It looks very icky. It looks full of blood and pus and all that good stuff.
What are you most excited for about it?
The death scenes, genuinely. I love when games customize how you can die in games. I always sound like so horrible whenever I talk about anything on this podcast, but like when you can get sucked into machinery and it makes a death scene for it, like when you have a unique death scene for like all of your different alien monsters, I just think it's so thoughtful and clever. Like I'm really excited to see the inventive ways that they come up with body horror, because I think body horror is really, it's one of those genres that I just love seeing how far they can push it, and if it makes you like feel something and be like, oh god.
Yeah, when you're fully just like, ugh.
Yeah, like seeing the ways they can, because gore is gore, like gore is gore is gore. Like it's the same thing. It's great, it's gross, but you know what you're getting when you've seen someone get mashed. Whereas if they really like think about it and adjust it and kind of go into all the horrible ways that something could happen to a person or a body, and reflect that in the gameplay, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Strange.
That was very interesting to actually hear you just talking about it there. I feel like we had a bit of like insight to your horror sort of like passion there.
I like it when things can experiment, and I think horror is the most experimental genre out there. I think it can do anything and it can get away with anything because people underestimate it a lot, and different scares for different folks, you know what I mean? Like everybody is scared by a different thing. You don't know what's going to get under your skin. So when games present all these different ways that something could, then it's just nice, isn't it? It's just nice to see how far something can go, how far you can go, like, and come out the other side and be like, big boss. As Dave would say.
I conquered the horror.
Yeah, exactly. But I spoke about the Callisto Protocol a lot, and there is a little video on the channel if you want to see more about it. So I'm also going to bring up Marvel's Midnight Suns, which is out also on the 2nd of December, which if Dave were here, he could tell us all about because he's very excited for it. But alas, the empty space is there, the void yawns and gapes. So you just
literally, Dave has, every time I feel that like that just the name is mentioned or anything, Dave
It just appears.
He just appears. It really is like just like, you have a door frame and then his head will just appear. Like no matter where
I'm looking forward to that game.
Yeah.
Midnight Suns, yeah, but like he's very excited for it.
He is. So this is another horror theme. No, it's not horror themed, but I just wanted to see Rob's face. It's like a dark supernatural take on the Marvel universe. So it's like the edgy, gritty side of the Marvel universe.
I thought it was just XCOM with superheroes.
Yeah, but
That's
it's like
the elevator pitch I've heard.
it is, but the theme is that it's a dark supernatural game where you play as a demon slayer trying to stop the rise of an ancient evil.
Oh.
So, yes, XCOM with superheroes, but in the scenario of it being very, mystical, eerie, spooky, dark fantasy sort of vibes, which sounds very fun. But it's a tactical RPG from the creators of XCOM, so you can expect those sweet XCOM vibes.
I'm loving as well the elevator pitch. It makes me like, what's Callisto Protocol's elevator pitch?
The elevator pitch for Callisto Protocol is sci-fi body horror in space.
In space.
Yeah, it's your Event Horizons, it's your Dead Spaces, it's your nasty little Pandorums, it's all that stuff.
What a lovely little elevator pitch. Well, if I was in an elevator, I'd be sold on both.
We'll test it later. We'll find a little lift.
Yeah, find a lift. You have until we get to the 3rd floor to sell your game.
Well, if neither of those interest you, or you at home. Then Need for Speed Unbound also comes out on the 2nd of December for PS5, which is a racing game where
What's
you take over
happened?
the
This
streets.
is a 2nd of December party for
I don't
video
know,
games, isn't
man.
it? They're all coming out.
Yeah. It's exciting though, because you can just have a little taste of whatever you fancy. Like, those are 3 different groups of people, but also, you know, some of them are the same person as well, which is interesting. I'd love to see the person that's playing all of these 3, like, on that day that is like, yes, the year's
I
come.
booked the day off and I've got the morning slot is for this game,
Yeah.
then the afternoon slot for this and the evening slot. Oh, that's
Yeah.
it.
Oof.
They're in.
Bit of Need for Speed. Do you guys like Need for Speed? Have you played it a lot?
I used to absolutely love Hot Pursuit. I got very obsessed with that, and Most Wanted I played a lot as well. I've not played the series too much since then, but I've always admired it for how pretty and fast it is.
Yes. They're going ham on the pretty this time
Yeah.
as well. They really want it to look super stylish. You can have like streetwear. Your cars can be very snazzy. As you can tell, I'm a racing game expert. So it looks fun. It looks fun. It's Need for Speed. It's a racing game. It's pretty. Like, it ticks all the boxes. So.
I once did a review of, I think it was Need for Speed Hot Pursuit multiplayer in a magazine, and I know so much about cars that I called one of the cars the orange one in my
Yes.
review, and the magazine editor like pulled it out as like a strap on a caption. They had a picture of a car and just underneath the orange one. Which I thought was very funny.
Yeah, that is good. They got you, but also they got you.
Yeah. I was surprised. Oh, just edit it out. Like, I don't know.
No, it's
The
good.
orange
I like
one.
that.
The orange one.
Also, most excitingly for you, Pear, I think, now is the time. So just to translate that was Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion out on the 13th of December, which you guys can just take over for now.
I'm very excited. I, to my shame, never played the original Crisis Core on the PSP because I never owned a PSP, and I was always sort of jealously looking at people with PSPs.
Rosie?
So I never.
No, I just mean you must have been the PSP owner.
And I was
I had
always
a
thinking,
PSP.
like, one day I will play this. One day I will just get a PSP and play it. And I never did. And so when they announced this was coming, I was like, oh, yes, finally. And I really like the way they've tied it visually and thematically into the Final Fantasy VII remake project as well. And I can't wait to see what they've done with it and how they're going to fit it into the wider Final Fantasy VII story. I love Final Fantasy VII and everything to do with it.
Really? I haven't heard you mention it before.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
The cat game?
Yeah, the cat game.
It's
is
just
as
strange
cool
that
as
you're
it.
talking about horror in this podcast as well, because you don't usually. Yeah. We're all talking about things we don't usually talk about today.
Apart from me, and I'm just like, yes.
No, I'm sure
Everything.
Parappa will come up at some point.
Oh my gosh. Don't Ash, if that day ever appeared.
Tell us about Crisis Core. Are you excited? Did you play the original one?
No, so I didn't play the original one because when I had the PSP, I had the pink PSP.
Yeah.
And
That would have still played Crisis Core,
it would
Rosie.
have, but this was before I knew about Final Fantasy. Well, I knew of it because I was very into Kingdom Hearts. So obviously in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, they had Final Fantasy characters in it, but I was like too busy playing Kingdom Hearts on my PSP specifically as well. Loco Roco. I loved Loco Roco on the PSP. I could not put it down. Like Tomb Raider Legends. Now I'm just playing here the games I played on my PSP.
like
but
that.
yeah, I didn't know that Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core was a thing. So so for years I've always wanted, like ever since I played Final Fantasy VII, I've always wanted to like delve into it. And even after remake, because sadly I don't have my pink PSP anymore because I was a fool as a child and I dropped it in a McDonald's whilst the earphones were in, and then I dropped it
Into the meal? Or?
not into the meal, onto the floor.
Okay. Oh.
Because I
I
know.
dropped it in a McDonald's. What type of
Yeah.
chicken nugget meal? I dropped it in a chicken nugget meal.
I remember, I don't know
It was
why.
irretrievable.
I remember there being chicken nuggets, and I remember just my devastation where I just put the PSP on the side of the table, and I think maybe I was just too keen for the nuggets, but I went in for them, and then it just fell on the floor. But I had the earbud still in, and then it just sadly didn't survive the fall. And it was really sad. I lost a pair of earphones and my PSP, my pink one.
You gained some chicken nuggets. So in the end, a fair trade.
Honestly, I was so unbelievably sad. I've still got my box and everything, and I've got the pink.
What, the chicken nugget box?
No, No, the PSP box.
Ah.
I've got that, and I've got all the accessories apart from the white sleeve it came
That's the
with.
prize.
I don't know where the white sleeve went, but like, I've got the pink like music video that came with it, is in the musician pink and stuff. So it's always there in my heart. But what I was going to say is after Final Fantasy VII Remake, I did start playing Crisis Core on, my friend gifted me then a black PSP years later for Christmas.
Much more worse is what I was going to say then. Much more worse.
So then I like got that PSP up, and then I started playing it, and I was really interested in it so far. And then I don't know why, I just thought, maybe not yet. Maybe I'll give it a break. Wait until remake, like Final Fantasy VII Remake still, because my mind was buzzing on like, oh my God, that game was so good. So I thought I'll come back to Crisis Core. And then they announced Reunion. So, I was just like, oh my gosh, now I might as well hold off for this version. And I'm just incredibly excited for it.
It's made me hungry, the story.
Great Rosie story there.
Yeah.
I'd put that in my top 10 Rosie stories.
Or the PSP and McDonald's story.
Yeah, you're losing your PSP and the chicken
I can tell you everything about that PSP. I loved it to pieces.
Yeah, you literally did. It turned to pieces.
The poor thing. Poor thing. I remember even being in the car journey on the way to McDonald's with my PSP. I just remember that day. I was that devastated. That day is just sealed in my mind.
I can't believe. Did you not replace it? Did you not get another one?
Well, my friend gifted me a black one then.
That one, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, a few years later. So.
Oh, God.
I know.
I'm thinking about it now. The
I can no longer play Loco Roco.
I had a PSP and I used to just use it to watch like TV shows on. Like, you could get the little discs that you could put in. So I watched The Mighty Boosh. That's how I discovered The Mighty Boosh was on PSP.
That's a good way of doing it. I've still kept all my PSP games and the little films that you got for them.
I just love the discs. Like, they're so cool.
I love the discs. I thought they were really
UMDs.
cool.
Yeah.
That was what they're called, yeah. Tiny little discs.
Beautiful. Anyway, we've also got Blacktail coming out on the 15th of December. Now, this is like a spooky Baba Yaga game.
Oh, for goodness sake. Just Halloween's over, Nest. You can stop. You can stop making horror games now. It's okay.
There's always like a horror part 2, isn't there?
There's
Like,
always
Halloween's
a horror
done.
game
It's
coming
not-
out, or a horror movie, or a horror series. Have you seen the new? Have you played the new? Oh, spooky.
It's a dark fantasy game. It's not a horror game. And it's about you playing as a young witch, the young Baba Yaga, which is a first-person action adventure with archery combat. I've written all my notes down. With archery combat and dark storytelling. So basically, you get to choose the path of the witch, whether you want to be a good, helpful witch, or if you want to be the cursed Baba Yaga from Slavic folklore. Have you guys heard of Baba Yaga before?
Yes.
Yeah?
No.
Okay, well, she lives in like a house that's built on chicken legs and runs around and eats children and is evil and scary, but not always, as Blacktail hopes to tell. They also have like myths and memories that are in 2.5D style. So like there's a little clip I was watching of a ghost like rampaging through a town, and it's in this 2.5D style as you have your memories to kind of figure out who you are and what you want to do and who you want to be. It looks really interesting. 15th of December. I'm excited for it. Rob, be excited for it. Say something nice.
I'm excited to play as Baba Yaga.
Would you be a good witch or a bad witch if you're a witch? Or a warlock?
A bad one.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. What would be your specialist magic?
Oh, God, I don't know. I have to think about these things.
Yeah, you just got to go. See, I would want necromancy straight away.
Oh, you're talking about like a school of
yeah,
magic.
like you have to have a school. I want necromancy. I'd want to be able to bring up skeletons to dance around with. Right, for sure. Yeah.
What?
Anything?
No, I don't know.
Do you like okay, so like Skyrim, like School of Destruction, where you can have elemental magic, or the school.
Conjuration.
There we go.
Conjuration.
Yeah, you'd want like to be able to bring
To
things.
conjure things. Yes.
Okay, that's how you do it. Rosie, how about you?
I would just like spells to come out of my stick. I just like the wand. I just want to be like fire, and then it's like. So I don't know what school that is. Maybe the
Destruction. Probably.
Destruction, maybe.
Yeah.
I think Rosie, you'd be the magician. Like you would have like very like spectacular spells. Like
I just want to put on a big magic show. I
Yeah.
just want to,
yeah, you'd be Gandalf at the start of Lord of the Rings. you know.
Fireworks, Gandalf.
Yeah.
Fireworks. Oh.
That would be you. Like,
that was me then. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be me.
That would be you. And Rob, yeah. What would you conjure? I want you to think about this.
Swords.
Sorry. Sorry.
Conjure
The guy who
swords.
goes, aliens. That was you. Swords.
Swords, yeah. Because, ultimately, in all of these games, you need a sword in a fight.
Yeah.
You're only a magician in Skyrim, so you can conjure things that you would equip if you weren't a magician.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
I was just thinking, did Indiana Jones not teach you that sometimes the sword is not the best answer? You know the scene in Indiana Jones where Indy just
Yeah,
goes.
but I conjure a gun.
That was
then.
a whip.
No, it was a gun. When the guy does like the sword,
a
sort
whip.
of like. Was it? I thought then he just grabs his gun and
No,
just
he
goes like.
uses a gun, he shoots him.
Yeah, the guy is using a whip, not a
Who's
sword.
using a whip?
I thought he was using
There's
a
a
sword.
guy who's got a sword and
No,
he does all
it's
the
a whip.
I thought it was a sword. I swear it's a sword.
It's a whip.
It's a sword.
Okay, everyone's saying it's a sword, and Dave's in my ear saying it's a sword. I thought it was. Oh, Indiana Jones uses the whip.
No, he doesn't. He uses a gun.
No, in that. I mean, that's where I've
Indiana
got
Jones
whip
as a
from.
whole uses a whip and he uses multiple other weapons and things,
Oh
but
my
the specific
God.
scene, the one person has a sword and Indy uses his gun.
Sometimes I think it's funny to be like, oh, I'm a bit stupid from the Midlands. But then sometimes I actually am, and it's, it's embarrassing. So sorry, everyone.
Apologies to any Midlands viewers.
Well, I am a Midlands viewer. We are one and the same. We've also got, for the final piece of What's New, Grand Theft Auto has its 25th anniversary on the 28th of November.
Blimey.
So
Final Fantasy VII just had its 25th anniversary as
that's
well.
not what I said. I said Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I know. But it just reminded me.
That was just a simple.
There are
Shut
25th
up, what we're
birthdays
talking
for
about.
lots of different games.
Yes. Yeah, every year, some would say.
Yeah.
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 Well,
I
Grand
love
Theft
these
Auto's
anniversaries.
25.
25.
I know, it's crazy. I've written general reactions and feelings about that.
Did you ever
Any?
play the first Grand Theft Auto?
Yes. I wasn't allowed to. Well, I was, 25 years ago.
Oh, we were gonna say I was 25.
I was not 18 yet. And it was like, at my school, it was the game that everyone was like, oh, you play Grand Theft Auto, you play Grand Theft Auto. And I went to my friend Tom Fitzgerald's house. And
Shout
he
out
was-
Tom Fitzgerald.
Yeah, he was just, that kid at school who just had all the stuff that everyone else
Yeah.
wasn't allowed. He had it all. And he's like, come on, let's play this game. It's so funny. Look, you can drive around and be naughty in it, be a criminal.
Be naughty.
Be naughty.
Be a naughty
Yeah.
criminal.
It was mind-blowing. Because at that time, all the games were you play a nice person and you jump around collecting fruit and shooting things with bazookas. I'm talking specifically
I know.
about Crash Bandicoot, obviously.
I was literally just like, are you talking about Crash Bandicoot? But I
Yeah,
didn't want to say it in case you were just talking. I was like,
Yeah, I was sort of introduced to that around the same time as I was introduced to, Final Fantasy and Metal Gear Solid for the first time. And it was like those games that sort of made me realise, oh my God, games can do this.
Crash Bandicoot did a lot of stuff
It
as
did,
well.
yeah. But
Don't. The Bandicoot was there.
but it's very traditionally, a platform game, a traditional platform game. And that was how I viewed all video games until games like Grand Theft Auto, Metal Gear Solid and Final Fantasy VII came along.
Never heard those.
Well, now you have.
until the cat games got involved, as
All the
Ash would
cat
say.
game. The cat game remake. But yeah, that there's our little catch up on what is coming in the rest of 2022. And, Grand Theft Auto has been around 25 years. That's pretty exciting. It's a massive game series. It changed loads of stuff. We played the one that was on Plus recently and drove around and did some cheats, and it was great. And that was my experience.
Oh, when we played Vice City and
Vice
then it
City,
just
yeah.
got absolutely chaotic.
I never played Grand Theft Auto growing up. I wasn't allowed to, and I only wanted to play games with swords and dragons. So I was not interested in cars. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad for everyone. I'm glad. I'm happy.
Happy anniversary,
Happy-
Grand Theft
happy
Auto.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy anniversary, happy birthday, happy Grand Theft Auto Day on the 28th of November. Okay, everyone, that is the end of the What's New section. We're now going to move on to the main feature, which is all about beating the backlog. Let's go. Okay, we're in the main feature section. That was wild, wasn't it?
Well, what a trip we took there. It was
Oof.
like Doctor Who's TARDIS sequence.
Yeah, a wild journey through music and time to reach here where we're going to talk about the backlog. So, guys, when I talk about the backlog, What do you think? Are you filled with trepidation, or are you like, my
I just
list of
filled with
games?
everything I've got on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. So just to kind of clarify the backlog in this sense, that being your list of games that you have, that you want to play, that you plan on playing, but that is ever growing and just hard to get through. Is everyone playing Ragnarok at the moment?
Yes.
I finished it.
Oh, never heard that before today.
Well, no, I've not finished
Well,
with
then
it though.
play it again.
I finished the story, but I've
Yeah.
not finished with Ragnarok. I'm very pleased that Ragnarok is not going to sit on my backlog for 4 years like God of War 2018 did.
Shame.
So I'm very pleased that I've finished the story.
Yeah.
But I can't envisage me playing anything else
Yeah.
for the next month or so. Will I just clean everything up that there is to clean up in that game?
It is so pretty. There's so many things to see and do. And you've done it again. You brought us back around to Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
I'm mad about because it is great. But what is next on your backlog to play after Ragnarok? Have you got something in line, or are you waiting for new releases? What is your backlog looking like, Rob?
Oh, my backlog is always clogged and massive and full of games. I've recently, within the last year, sort of come to terms with the fact I've stopped calling it my backlog now. Mm-hmm. And I've just made peace with the fact that there are some games I'm just not going to play. And it's the same with movies and books. Like, no one person can play every game and watch every movie and read every book.
But not with that attitude.
And there's like a constant, I've got games on my backlog from PS3 still, like Hitman Absolution. I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to play Hitman Absolution. And so I think it's okay to let go. That would be my advice to everyone who's stressing about their backlog. Oh God, I've got to play this, I've got to play that. Like, there are a few games I think every year, or that I'll single out a few that I know I'm definitely going to play. I'm definitely going to finish. Final Fantasy VII, Crisis Core Reunion, definitely going to play that. Callisto Protocol, I imagine I will play for a bit and go, oh, this is really good, and then get scared and then not play it anymore, like I did with Dead Space.
Yeah.
Dead Space is another game that's on my backlog, another PS3 game that's on my backlog. I'm not going to play it, obviously now. Maybe I'll play the remake when that
I think you
releases,
should. Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure. Like, but yeah, I think it's liberating to allow yourself to not worry. It's okay. It's all right. Let some games go, everyone.
No.
It's okay.
I can't with some of them. Like,
I was saying, I'm looking forward to Rosie's take on this. This is going to be like the list, regimented.
I'm like, the list.
I've seen your spreadsheet for your collection of games. I imagine you have one for a backlog,
I don't actually have one for a backlog, but so what I've got like a plan at the moment, but just in general, just thinking about when you were talking about games you had on the PS3, which like your Hitman one, I think earlier this year I got to like I got really far basically in Final Fantasy VI on PS1, and I really need to carry on with that and pick it up. I got to a point where I got a bit confused about what to do, and then from talking to some people online, they were like, oh no, that's an optional thing, you don't have to do that. I was like, okay, that's cool, so maybe I can progress without that. So like, personally for me, I'm like, it doesn't matter what era they're from. I'm like, if they're on my backlog, they're on my backlog. There's so many games I just look at and I'm just like, oh, I really need to finish that. I'm trying to keep on top of it though. But I think personally for me, the tricky thing is with our line of work, when a game does come out, then we have to play it a lot in our free time to make sure that we're on top of all the awesome gaming goodness. And then because of that, there are some things you have to prioritize, and then that's just when the backlog gets like bigger and bigger. Recently my mate was playing Death Stranding and I was just watching for a bit, and I thought that's another game. I got up like far in chapter 2 I think on Death Stranding, and I remember thinking, right, I'm going to beat this for the backlog. And then when I got back to it, I hit a point where I didn't know what I was doing. I found some BTs, I got very scared, they stole my bike, I didn't know, I was just lost in the wilderness.
Stole your bike. So I just imagined it. Yeah. Just BT's riding off on your bike.
beating you up like a school bully.
Give us your bike and your lunch money.
Sam Bridges. And then I just got really sad, stressed, because it was my first BT encounter of everything. And when you go back to a game and you're midway through and you don't fully remember the buttons and stuff, I was just stressed.
That's
And
the
I just
thing.
thought, so not only did it become a backlog, it became I need to start this game from the beginning, which is like a backlog.
Yeah, that's
Big one.
That's a big problem with the backlog, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like especially when you're like 30, 40 hours through a game, something else comes out, because it always does. There's just games just constantly coming out and being new and being made and being really good, and you can't you always tell yourself, oh, I'll finish this game first before I move on to the next game. But I don't know about you, but I never do. As soon as the new thing comes out, I remember there was one sequence, it must have been, I think, 2018, where I think Dragon Quest XI came out, and then Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out, and then Red Dead Redemption 2 came out.
God.
And then, before I'd finished that, Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. And I didn't finish any of those games, because I was just like, oh, the next one's here. I can't resist. I have to play it.
They're big games as well.
Well, I was
Yeah.
going to say, Dragon Quest is currently in my active backlog thing,
You
and
can't-
I've got a Christmas plan.
See, there is plans. Maybe not on a
you
spreadsheet.
can't.
But
For me now, I don't get as much time to play games as I did back in my university days. For sure, like where I would like a 50 to 100 hour game, I'd be like, oh yes, I could.
there's a weekend.
I could do like I could do like 10 of those a year. Now it's more realistically, I'm going to finish 1 or 2 like big 50-hour games a year, and the rest are going to be. I'll dabble in everything, but you got to pick and choose the games that you're going to really. And at the moment, for me, anything that isn't called God of War Ragnarok is not getting a look in on my PS5 right now.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what my Christmas plan is?
Yes.
So I've got to finish Ragnarok now. Sonic Frontiers, because I got really far in that. I was just like, right, I've got to finish Sonic. And also I had a really good time with it. So I was like, okay, Sonic Frontiers is there as well. I've got Dragon Quest XI, which I really, really tried to finish before pretty much November hit. And then we had these 2 big games coming out. But I got to a point where I was like, okay, I know I'm not going to be able to finish this, but I made a purposeful stopping point. So when I go back, I know exactly what I've got to do. I've made a note on my phone of what I've got to do, because I'm finishing that game. Like I really want to platinum that game. I'm like, yes, please, I love it so much. So after I've done Ragnarok and Sonic, it's going to be straight back into Dragon Quest. And then earlier this year, I played Skyrim properly for the first time, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I got over 12 hours into it. So I really need to finish that, because I did it for charity, and then I was just like, I just really need to continue this.
Yeah.
So those are like the games that I'm going to try my best to finish in the Christmas break. And then also I feel sad as well, because I have to say, since the Mass Effect Legendary Edition came out, I played Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, and I think I played Mass Effect 2 last Christmas or last winter period, because I remember I wanted to get it done before Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And then I thought, all year I've been meaning to play Mass Effect 3, and then just things have come up, and I've been like, oh, it'll be my Christmas game. So I guess technically now I'm not going to have time for it. So that is I'm considering that, even though I haven't started it, in terms of my plan, and I've done the other 2, and this is to end the trilogy. I'm like, this is kind of technically in my backlog, so that's another one. And I've got to do all this before February, when Like a Dragon Ishin comes out, and then Resi 4 coming out
Rosie.
No! And then
Let
Resi
it
4
go.
in March. I can't.
It's okay.
I can't. I've got a busy
It's
beginning.
all right.
It's not all right,
It
Rob.
is.
It's
It's
not
all right. Mass Effect 3 has been played by millions of people. It's all right.
It should be
won't
played by
mind.
you as well.
It won't mind.
It should be.
I need to see
You do.
Shepard and the crew again.
Obviously, the ending has had its debate. I love it. I think Mass Effect 3 is great. I think it's an ending to the trilogy. I think it closes off all the stories. It has some massive story moments. It will tear your heart out and stamp on it, and then build it back up again and gift it you back in your chest.
I have
it's
heard
so
3
good.
has got so many moments where they're big penultimate decisions that have built up throughout the other 2 games, and now it's
honestly,
things are getting real now.
the arcs that you go on in the 3rd one that cap off all the stories you've been through are just some of the best in gaming. Mass Effect series is absolutely stellar, and 3 is so worth playing to just get that closure on it. You should do it. You should do it. You should do
I know
it.
I should. But considering I haven't started that one yet, that one's at the bottom of my backlog, because it's not as if I started it and now I've just got Shepard just chilling out, just in space. So
See, I treat a backlog like my wardrobe, where I'm like, I have a bunch of games that like I'll buy stuff all the time. Like I buy things on sale. Whenever there's a sale on, I will go through and look at all the horror games and see what weird ones are on there that are like a couple of pounds or less than £10, and I'll get them and collect them and think, okay, when I'm got a gap between games, I'll play that. But I don't ever commit to thinking I'm going to play that. I just have it so that it's there, and I'm like, oh, if it's a cold day, I'll put that one on. And then when I finish a game, I have this whole mass of games that I could play, and I'll go and get another one instead. You know, like I'll be like, right, I've got nothing to play. I've got nothing to play. And then I'll go and get another one. So
I do that with books and with food.
Yeah.
And with
You
food.
look at it. Oh,
Got
I bought that. I bought those vegetables earlier in the week.
Yeah.
Didn't I? Takeaway.
That is absolutely me with Backlog. So I don't really know what I'm going to play after Ragnarok, but I've got so many things that I could and should play, and so many I love a horror game. I love a short thing, obviously. So I want something that's like a short, snappy experience after Ragnarok. So now I'm going to actively search for something that's like 5 hours or less, so I can have a little one.
I like doing that when you've put so much time in a big game. For an example, I had that with Elden Ring. I put so many hours into Elden Ring. Afterwards, I kind of had a bit of like a, oh God, that was a lot of gaming hours. And
then it
so,
was straight.
well, no, I didn't do straight. I did the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe edition. Perfect, absolutely perfect for what I needed. And then after that, I was like, boom, I'm back. Give me a big JRPG, Dragon Quest 11, yes. So like you need, like what you're saying, you need that little break sometimes just to be like, okay, big game.
Yeah.
And whether that's finishing off a game or you do a smaller game, you just need that little break.
Yeah, I like coming back and doing like trophies, not as in because I want the trophy. Obviously, I do want the trophy, but because they work as like challenges in a game as well. So like,
I have that with Demon's Souls on PS5.
Like I want to like go and have like, you know, I've got like the Hollow Knight plat still boiling away in the background. I've got Inscription that I want to platinum. I've got like bunches of little games. I like going and playing Overcooked just for a little bit, just to have like a little thing. I'm playing Kiwi, like loads of things that I just kind of pick up and put down that I'm not really bothered about finishing, but I just like having them as their intended experience, which is just like, here's some puzzles, here's some fun. Like I love puzzles. So anything that's just like figuring out how to put everything together, so good. I just wish there was more like tiny little puzzle games that I had in my backlog at the moment. I need to go and collect more. Play The Witness again. That's another one that's on my backlog to finish.
I was going to say, you wanted to get the platinum for that, didn't you?
Yeah, my backlog is all just things I need to platinum, but that I've played all the way through. So that is quite nice. I really don't know what I'm going to play next. I'm really excited for Christmas where I can just be like, anything, maybe nothing.
I do love that point where you do think like I can play anything, and then you're truly just like, what am I really in the mood for right now? What do I want to? Do I want to revisit something? I had something, I think in summer, where I was just really in the mood for like a Sly Cooper game. So I picked up Sly Cooper 4, and then like you said, I was just like got the platinum for that, and I was just like, that was perfect. I was just in the mood. I was just in the mood for something like that.
Yes. I want to crack out my PlayStation 1 and 2 for Christmas, I think, this year.
Yeah?
Because I made a little, I do this thing where I'll just buy something, like a collection of something. So I like got a few of the Silent Hill games. Like I found some deals on eBay. I decided that was what I was going to do. I was going to collect the early Silent Hill games, and then the Fatal Frame games. I got like the Project Zeros, like the PS1 ones, which were hard to find, and I got them for like a good deal. So like I just have them, but like looking at me, and I'm like, you have the disc, you can play that like now, whenever you want. Sorry, Rob, I just hit you with excitement. So maybe I will go back to the retro days as well for a little treat. Do you do that? Do you go back to the older PlayStations?
Not really. No. I'm quite lazy. If I can't put it on my PS5, then I tend not to play it. No.
I think that's fine though.
Yeah.
Like I prefer playing something I can just have on the PS5. Like the PlayStation Plus, being able to go back and get them from there is so good.
Yes, absolutely. Like I don't even like getting off my sofa, to be honest. It's all about the digital games for me. But I do like that sense of like, you finish everything, you don't have anything to play, and you've got to decide what you're in the mood to play. Yeah. Sometimes that phase can last weeks for me, and I'll just stare at a shelf of games like, what do I start? And I'm like, that game's coming out soon, so I can't start anything big. When I was a kid, and I used to have like a pool of maybe 5 or 6 games, and they were the only games I had, and those were Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 9, Vagrant Story, Breath of
So
Fire
many
4,
Final Fantasies.
and Final Fantasy 6. And Origins, which is 1 and 2, and Anthology, which is 4 and 5.
I had
all of the Final Fantasy.
Catwoman, the
Basically,
movie, the game.
Yeah.
So what I
Big
used to do,
JRPGs.
and the Legend of Dragoon as well,
Yep.
and Metal Gear Solid. What I used to do is put them all on the floor, and my sister and I would just have like a session where we'd almost like eliminate games, and you go around the floor of games, and one would be cast out. No, not playing that. And eventually it would be boiled down.
Oh my God, I think I
to
remember doing something
to the
similar.
one game, and my sister and I both decided, okay, I'm playing this and I'm playing this, and we both go off to our bedrooms and play. And we used to play these. That's why I finished Final Fantasy 7 like 4 or 5 times, because for a period of 5 to 10 years, I only had this small collection of games. I didn't have my own spending power. I didn't used to get bought many games. Simpler times.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have a backlog. All I had was a log of games that I'd played many times and I would play again.
What would you say was that? Because I remember for me, I played way too many hours, not even of necessarily doing anything, but just way too many hours of Kingdom Hearts 2 on PS2. I would love to get that old save and just see how many hours I put into it, because like when you're just in the mood for something, I loved that game so much that I would happily run around the world, destroy some nobodies, kill some heartless, and that
Destroy some nobodies.
That's what they're called.
nobodies.
I
That's
know,
what
it's
they're
just
called.
funny. Like.
That would be a fun video. Like, I wish I knew where my PS2 and my PS2 memory card was.
Thing is, I
So you
think my
could
brother
actually-
has it. I
so you
think
can actually load it up.
I think he still has the memory card, because I think I
do it.
saw him talk about it, and
We
I was
should
like,
just-
is that my Kingdom Hearts 2 save I see? Is that mine? Is that my
We
save?
should do that. We should just do a stream where we're like, let's boot up some old saves from 20 years ago and see where we were.
Mine will be. I played so much Sly Cooper, like the Sly Raccoon game,
Yeah.
like, over and over and over again. I played that over again. Legend of K as well. the
Yeah,
cat
Legend
game.
of K.
I
The
love
cat
it.
game.
I didn't. I like. My gaming experience was my dad's backlog, because he does the same thing where he just buys games and then doesn't play them. So like he'd have like, but he loves like Rome, so like all of that sort of stuff. He loves like every dad has their set historical era. My dad's is Roman, so
Okay.
anything related to that and anything that's like mythy, legendy sort of games, or that is about strategical battle stuff, my dad had, and so I would get on the PlayStation. Made for hours of Sly Cooper.
All of these Romes,
Yeah.
like Cooper Rome.
Yeah, he very much was a big fantasy fan, so he played like Baldur's Gate and stuff together as well. Like we played a lot of things together, or I would watch the X-Men games as well on PlayStation. I loved it. So good. But right, guys, I think that's enough talk on our backlog, and that we should move on to the next section, which is the comments of the week. Okay, guys, so you're ready to sing it? Rob, are you gonna?
I'm ready.
Yeah, Rob's gonna be our double doer in the absence of Dave. So
Here we go. I've got to set the tone.
yeah,
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for comments of the week.
Oh, that's horrible.
Well done, Rob, though. Well done, Rob. That was
it's
good.
We
all right,
made it
Rob.
work somehow.
Yeah. We got through. So, comments of the week from the hashtag Pod Squad.
Pod Squad.
Pod Squad. I
Oh,
was very
Rosie.
late then.
Very late.
Very like literally like Pod Squad went in one ear and then it just sat in my brain for a bit.
Ashamed.
And then the
you
mouth
should
said
be.
it.
Yeah.
That was very bad.
Well, these are the comments that we've collected up from our videos, from social media with the hashtag Pod Squad.
Pod Squad.
Rosie, were so quick there that my brain just went, well, that's happened now. There's no point in even joining in.
I tried to separate it so you didn't have to do it
Hashtag.
again.
Pod Squad.
That use the hashtag that we've collected up, that are little interactions that we read out on our podcast. So if you would like to be included in future podcasts, just leave us a comment with the hashtag Pod Squad.
Pod Squad.
Pod Squad.
Or on on YouTube or on our social medias, and we will scoop it up, or Alex will scoop it up, our community manager, and we will read it out. So the first up that we have is City Sights and Sounds on our horror podcast, who says hashtag Pod Squad.
Pod Squad.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Owen from the Philippines. Since the holidays are coming up, do you guys do a Secret Santa? What were the best gifts that you got from each other? Love you guys. Yes.
We do a Secret Santa, yeah.
We do. We do a company-wide one.
We have, well, not many people would know this, but there's actually 23 people in our company.
Yeah.
And they work on, lots of them work on things that aren't PlayStation Access, but we do a company-wide Secret Santa. So last year was pretty epic.
Yeah.
The best Secret Santa gift I've ever got, though, was some beard baubles.
Yeah.
Those were from.
A few years ago.
Oh no, I won't say who they were from because it was Secret Santa.
Oh
do you
my
know who
God.
they were from? I think
don't.
I remember who they were from.
They were from Secret Santa.
Oh,
Oh,
That's
I love everyone telling each other. I thought the whole point of Secret
Yeah, I
Santa
hate
was...
when people tell each
No,
other.
it's secret, and then you say, this is who this is. I like
don't know.
knowing.
It's supposed to be secret. It's supposed to be Secret Santa. That's who it's from.
I like knowing.
Anyway, I had some beard baubles and it was nice and festive.
I like people knowing that I did it as well. I'm like, if it's great, I'm like, that was me.
I also got a good one last year, though. I got a deck of magic cards. Mainly because
You
I
asked for
wrote
them.
that. Well, you do these online things now, right? And you draw someone online, and in the same bit of software, not software,
Elfster it is. It's
whatever it is, you write your wish list.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one who ever bothers doing it.
No,
So,
Alex writes a wish list.
Oh, does he?
Alex always
Patax
put
curry sauce.
He's already done it this year. And
Oh,
it's
has
just
he?
more curry.
Yeah, it's just curry sauces.
Curry sauce.
Maybe a cookbook.
what
maybe.
a strange man.
We bought him a birthday present this year. This is just an aside.
I can't remember what we got him. What
we
did
got him a curry set, which I'd recommended because I got one. Like I got a Christmas edition of it last year, which is this gorgeous, like beautiful set where it has spices and some cocktail ingredients, and it's all in one lovely package. And it's like the taste of like a certain like city or around that kind of area, and with that sort of food. And I had this gorgeous box, and I thought, oh, we can get that for Alex. That'll be great. And it's like in the budget. It'll be really nice. He'll have like a curry set and a cocktails, and it means that he can have like a delicious meal for two. It'll be nice, and not realizing that the one that we got him was the date night edition. So it was like all of these aromatics for aphrodisiacs and stuff that was like written into the packaging that he got from work. So we got like this. He's got like this. Thanks from PlayStation Access and everyone, and it was like, ooh, to get you in the mood.
Have
This
some
delicious.
curry.
Tasty turmeric.
Yeah. If you want to feel potent this evening. So that was a bad present, but it wasn't a Secret Santa present. But also it was good because it was still curry and
Yeah,
he
it's
asked for
funny.
curry. So.
What's your favourite Secret Santa you've had from?
I know mine was Dave, but I know mine was Dave because I just know it was 2 DVDs of Nightmare, the TV show, where he'd gotten them all copied onto a disc. So I have 2 copies of the, not the same, obviously different. So I have all the series of Nightmare on these 2 DVD boxes, and it's the best thing in the world. I like just put it on when I'm doing my cleaning. Oh, it's so good. I love Nightmare so much. I grew up not watching Nightmare, Fort Boyard, and The Crystal Maze, and Nightmare was always my favourite, and I always wanted to go on it, but it existed solely in the 80s. Also Raven was my favourite, but that's not from that era, so I didn't include it in that list. But yeah, Raven was like the Nightmare of my era, but I loved Nightmare, and I've spoken to Dave about it before, and I've gone on about it before, and he remembered and got these DVDs made, and it's just, it's so thoughtful and it's so good, and I'm smiling because it's an amazing gift. It's so good. What about you?
I have 2 that stick to mind since being on Access, and the first one, I know who the Secret Santa was. I don't know if they remember this, but they got me a really nice the Nightmare Before Christmas calendar, and I really, really appreciated it because I don't think I'd really mentioned the Nightmare Before Christmas that much, apart from when talking about Kingdom Hearts 2 and Tuesday checklists. And it was just the thought that I was like, wow, this person just remembered that I was saying how much I adore this film. And like from months ago, we recorded this video, and I was like, wow, they remembered that, and they've got me this calendar, and I was like, oh my God, I was not expecting someone to get like my favorite film ever. So that one was really thoughtful, and I remember that one. And then I also know who got me the Secret Santa last year, because bless them, they had the situation where everyone else got their Secret Santas, but theirs hadn't arrived in the post. No, it was not that it didn't arrive, but it arrived that it was faulty, so they had to send it back.
It got smashed.
And then on the way for it to for the replacement to come, it didn't arrive in time. So they came up to me and they were like, I'm really, really sorry. I'm your Secret Santa. But the gift itself was fantastic. It was like some independently made Aku Aku earrings, which I adore, and some bath bombs that were in the shape of some controllers, and just some lovely chocolate. And it was just, again, I was like, oh my gosh, Crash Bandicoot. You know I love Crash Bandicoot, and I love chocolate, and bath bombs. You didn't know this, but they're so much fun, and I just love them fizzling in the bath.
Clean.
I love being clean. So again, that's another one where I just thought, oh my god, you've nailed it with these Aku Aku earrings, and I have them on display now in my home. With the Crash Bandicoot selection.
Yeah, we see you wearing them in a video at some point, shaking them around. Like.
I know, that's the thing though. I only ever wear these earrings.
Yeah.
I say these earrings. They're like golden hoop ones because it's a really random story to tell on the PlayStation Access podcast. When I was younger, I used to swap my earrings every day, and I think it just irritated my ears so much that they just got I got a really bad infection from one of them.
Oh, I don't hear about your ear crust.
And then like ever since, and then I put these earrings in, and they have just never caused me any pain. They caused me no discomfort. They never stab in my head or neck area, you know, the part at the back of your earlobe. They're just a perfect idea, and they're kind of like my companions now.
Yeah.
Like, so ever since, they're just so practical. I love them so much, and they're just my earrings.
Oh, do you have any comfort earrings? I called you Dave then, Rob.
No, I don't. I don't have any piercings.
Would you ever get a piercing?
I don't think so, no.
No.
Or no. I don't like the idea of getting a piercing or a tattoo. Because it's sort of irreversible then. Like, I'm quite fickle. So I can imagine myself in a few years' time, like, oh, I don't like that tattoo.
Did you get a
anymore.
head tattoo?
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Get
not.
a face on
If
top.
I was going to get a tattoo, I would get the same tattoo that Zell from Final Fantasy VIII has.
Oh my gosh.
Just like all the way down the side of my face.
I don't know what that means, but I like it.
I know what that means, and I also thought of the bouncer because there's another character who has a
Right,
very similar
yeah.
tattoo as well.
I think if you get that, you need to have the Zell hair as well, which I don't have. Obviously, I'd look silly, I think.
I think you'd rock it. I think we should make this a thing.
No.
If I got a tattoo, I'm desperate to get one from this. I don't have any, but I'm desperate to get one from this one guy who does Mon cats on Instagram, and they're these cats that he like draws into the pattern of, like it's like Japanese style cats, and the backs will have like other drawings in them. So like some will have like a panther going down their back, like, you know, like an old school panther, or they'll have like flames and little baseball bats and like look really gnarly. They're very cool. They're kind of hard to describe without seeing them, but Mon cats. Very good. That's what I would get on my face. Just a massive cat on my face.
I can't imagine you being someone who just gets a giant tattoo of a cat on your face.
Yeah.
Like, if you came in like that, I would be startled at first, and then I'd be like, I am not surprised.
Yeah, startled but unsurprised.
Yeah, startled, but then I'd be like, this makes sense.
Yeah, I've always said that the first tattoo I'll get will be a little piece of flash, of Friday, like from Friday the 13th, the day, not the film, or a Halloween one, depending on which one. Maybe a little ghost or a black cat, or maybe even a pumpkin if I'm feeling wild, depending on what it was. But we've got away from the question. We also have one from. There's so many that I'm just trying to pick one because we're going to run out of time otherwise. Zalmunna says from the Ragnarok pod. #Pod Squad. I definitely cried within 10 mins. #Cry Squad.
Cry Squad.
You called it the Tear Brigade.
The Tear Brigade.
Tear Brigade.
Yeah.
Fully the Tear Brigade. I have to say as well, for a little fun side story about the Tear Brigade, Ash was editing last week's podcast, and literally I just get an out of context picture of my face when I was trying to talk about the Tear Brigade, and it looked like I aged like 70 years, and now it's my picture on Slack. I don't even know
if
what
you do
I
an impression
did.
of it, I'm going to screen cap it again. Like, that's what's going to happen.
Becomes my new Slack profile picture again. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll just have a collage. I'll just make a collage of every time I just pull that face.
Yes.
But Cry
Yeah.
Squad. Well, I'm happy that we're not the only ones in the cry squad.
Yes, tears, they roll, they fall.
Yes.
God, I've had some emotional moments. I've nearly been brought to tears a few times in Ragnarok, which I can't talk about just yet because we will talk about it in a spoiler cast instead, hopefully.
Oh, I'll tell you what, though. Okay, here's a question.
Yeah.
What's the most you've ever cried at in a game?
Rosie, this is supposed to be the viewers. asking us questions, not you.
Say hashtag pod squad.
Hashtag pod squad.
Sorry.
Rosie Caddick asks.
What's the most you've cried in a video game?
Oh man, I know this answer for films, but for games, Last of Us Part 2. I've spoken about that a few times. Yeah, Last of Us Part 2. That's the most I've ever cried ever.
I'd probably say I cry loads in video games, but one that springs to mind recently is Final Fantasy IX's ending.
Yes.
I was crying for
Is
long
that the
time.
he was all a dream?
No,
No.
that's Final Fantasy X.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Final Fantasy X. I did cry in Final Fantasy X as well, but not as much as I
Final
did.
Fantasy IX's a happy ending, Rosie.
But that's the thing. That's why I was crying. It wasn't necessarily sad. It was like a mixture of like happy things, but
I don't
also
understand. You only
a
cry when you're
sad
sad.
thing.
There are no other times.
I was so, but like that's the thing. Like I don't know if I want to spoil it or not for those who haven't played Final Fantasy
I
IX.
see,
It's
no,
just
it's-
it's a fantastic ending.
It's over 20 years old now, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Well, you don't have to say it. You can
You
say
don't have to say it,
upset you.
Rosie. Listen.
Well, either way, I was just crying from sadness about one angle of the ending, happiness from another angle of the ending. So one action that the character did, I don't know why, it just got me in the feels. I was just like, oh, I understand why they did that, and I was just like an absolute wreck. Like I remember going into the bathroom and fully just being like, stop crying, it was so beautiful, and so it was like a whole mixture of happy, sad, and every tear.
And Rob, have you shed a tear ever?
I probably have to say God of War Ragnarok in the first 10 minutes. Other games have, like, I'm not someone who, like, bawls their eyes out of things. Like, I feel it on the inside.
What about
and
MGS4?
occasionally it will come out. Again, not really.
Oh, I cried at MGS4.
A little bit. Final Fantasy VII, the obvious bit. But again, it was more like just I felt it. And maybe my eyes moistened slightly. But God of War Ragnarok, for God's sake, it gets you right in the weak spot in the first 10 minutes. If you have that particular weak spot, and that is for me. That's a big one for me.
Hit me hard.
So yeah, that's probably the most I've cried in a video game. There's lots of emotional moments in God of War Ragnarok, though. Lots.
Not for now though. Not for now.
Not
'cause
for now.
We can't reveal the secrets of God of War.
No.
So I'm going to move you on from here. I'm going to move you on because we're going to wrap up and move on to our last section, which is Before We Go. Okay, everyone, we're in the last section. It's Before We Go, which is where we talk about things outside of gaming that we've been up to or that we want to talk about. And I'm just going to ask you if you've got anything, because I've got a few prompts if you need them. But I thought I just want to know what you've been up to.
I've been reading a great book
Yeah?
called Storyland by Amy Jeffs, and it's like a retelling of myths from Britain. So it's like a really interesting retelling of loads of not just Celtic and British mythology, but mythology from lots of other places as well. And there's a little bit of Norse in there as well. So you get like a different version of like the origin story of characters like Odin and Thor appear in it as well. And one thing I learned that I found really interesting that I didn't know before, that you probably know, Ash, because you're like, I know all about Norse mythology
I just
all
like
the time. Odin, another name for Odin is Woden. And traditionally, Woden would be celebrated on a certain day, which was Woden's Day, which became Wednesday. So the day Wednesday refers to
Woden's
Odin,
Day.
refers to Woden's Day, yeah. Which I found very
that's
interesting.
good, because when I learned how to spell Wednesday as a kid, I always used to say Wednesday. So that kind of like
Yeah,
Woden's
that's sort of
Day
where it's
just
come
reminds
from.
me of like
Woden's Day.
That's
Wednesday.
really reminded me of something my nan used to sing from a film, I think. You've just like unlocked a memory.
It's weird when reading this book, there's so many like words that a mythological character called Brutus came and founded Britain, was the first person who, settled Britain, and everyone who lives in Britain now is a descendant of this mythological character called Brutus, which is where the word Britain comes from, and where also the word brutal comes from because of the way he came in. And what was that?
Just a little.
I did like the rock pose hand gesture thing, when you put your thumb over
Right. It's a really good book, and it's something I've been really enjoying, especially having just played God of War Ragnarok, because it's fascinating when you also realise that how much of this stuff still survives today in modern language and modern place names. Like, I've just learnt about a character called Humber, whose name is now given to the Humber estuary. Like, he was a king who came and invaded what is now Scotland and was defeated by two kings who lived in what is now England, and he was killed in what is now the Humber estuary, and his body sank into the estuary, and that's why it's called the Humber estuary. And it's still called the Humber estuary to this day.
Good old
anyway,
Humber.
It's very interesting. It's really well written as well. So,
is it like creature myths, or is it just people myths?
It's all sorts of myths, and Amy Jeffs, has sort of retold them in her own style, and also gives you a little bit of added context at the end of each one. So it's lots of little different fictional accounts compiled together in this really nice compendium. It's like an alternative history of Britain, basically. It's really good.
That sounds really
recommend
interesting, actually. Yeah, that sounds really cool.
Especially if, having just played God of War Ragnarok, it's especially interesting, I found.
Yeah. Oh, well, alternatively, for some lowbrow content, I've been watching Below Deck Down Under.
What's this? I haven't heard of
It's
it.
just a bunch of people that work on super yachts, and they're like their lives and their charters that they do. So they're all like arguing with each other and trying to serve these guests. It's just a reality TV show about a bunch of people that live on a yacht. It's great. It's great. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. There has been some people on jet skis, which was fun. The chef's been really aggressive. He's being very a lot. He's not serving the guests properly.
Oh,
and
no.
It's upsetting the chief steward. So
I was going to say, when you say it's very full on, is it because he's stressing the kitchen, or is he just...
No, he's just not very nice. He's like, I will serve what I want to serve, and the guests will have it. And then like one guest was like, oh, I don't really like fish, so he gave him a course of like 3 different fish.
Oh my gosh!
It's just funny. It's silly. I like a reality TV show. It's a good cleanse.
A good cleanse.
A good cleanse. So I'm watching that at the moment. How about you, Rosie? What are you up to?
The only thing I can kind of think of recently is that I've been watching the new series of an anime show called Pop Team Epic.
Mm-hmm.
The first season, I believe, I watched it on Netflix, and now I'm watching it on Funimation or something. And it's basically just a really... it's hard to recommend because it's a very like specific kind of humor where if you just like really short clips of just like weird little sketches or references. There's like a Skyrim reference at one point, and then there's like a reference to Dora the Explorer at the other point, but they just kind of really take the mick out of some things, and even just some, like there's even also just a sketch where you're like pulling a chair out from underneath someone, but the way they animate it, it's got multiple different animation styles. It's a 20-minute show, but you have 10 minutes with a female voice cast and then the same characters, but it's all male voice cast. So then you just get 2 completely different angles of like the same sketches, but just how it can like sort of pan out and stuff. So yeah, I've just been watching the next season of that really at the moment. That's
Nice.
in terms of what I've been watching, that's been it.
Very fun. We've got our World Cup sweepstake at the moment as well. And
We
we're
do.
recording this podcast a little bit in advance.
So by the time you hear this,
Yeah.
there'll have already been like a week of World Cup fixtures.
Yes. Which is exciting. I have Denmark and Brazil.
God, I was furious about this.
What do you have?
I've got Wales and Spain. So
Maybe.
Spain, maybe.
I've been learning Spanish.
Really?
Yeah. Yo soy una mujer.
I don't know what that means. 'Cause I
I'm a
don't know.
woman. Hola. Mucho gusto.
Sorry, hola, you just said that so
I remember
like...
doing GCSE Spanish.
Hola.
and
Mucho gusto. Mucho gusto. ¿Dónde está el taxi? Aquí.
I don't know what that means. I got the word taxi.
Yeah. Yeah. ¿Dónde está el baño?
Sobresaliente is the word I mean. It just means excellent.
Oh,
Conejo de Indias.
what's that?
That
Guinea
was
pig.
Yeah.
Rosie's got done like a proper, we're saying Spanish in
Yeah.
very English accents. Rosie
Hola.
actually put some effort into her pronunciation there. I appreciate it.
Oh, Duolingo's teaching me that owl. He's
I need
a
to get back on Duolingo.
He's such a bother.
Why
He's
is he a
such a
bother?
He's just like, oh, don't miss your streak, and then I can't miss my streak.
Oh, do you get all the emails as well? And it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
remember? And you're like, oh, I know, Duo, I'm all right, I'm coming.
Yeah. I was like, I'm on day 24 now. Day
Nice.
24. What other words have I? I'm trying to think of something fun that I can say. But all I can say is I am a woman. I can say I am a man. Yo soy un
Amarillo
hombre.
is yellow, isn't it?
Huh?
Amarillo.
I don't. We haven't got to colours yet. Only can count up to 3.
Maybe. I can't remember. I think that might be yellow.
Uno-
I'm going back from like primary school learnings of Spanish.
I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's it. 14. I don't know. I go to French a bit as well. Someone please help me.
No, I want to carry on.
Just finish now.
Donde
Before
está
we
la
do
ending?
anything else.
Oh, also I tried to teach myself I'm every woman in Spanish, but I forgot all the words. So
You
it's
are
like
every woman.
Yo soy coro esta todo. No, yo soy coro mujer todo está en mí. I don't know if that's right, but I tried it with Google Translate.
Well, I'm going to give you a clap anyway,
Thanks.
but well
I'm
done.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna. Oh, you could hear the song that my nan used to sing, which was Woden, Woden, send the winds to turn the tide. Woden, Woden. She was very witchy.
I thought you were going to do Blue Knees then.
No, that was my nan singing something about
Oh.
Woden, who was like, send the seas to turn the tides. Woden, Woden.
It's interesting that your nan knows like an old folklore song about
I think it's
Odin.
from a film. I think it's from a
Oh,
film.
okay.
I'm pretty sure it's from a film. I don't think Nan Millman is
Nan Millman.
praising Woden, but maybe she is. I don't know. Maybe I underestimated it. She taught me loads of songs, but I can't repeat the rest on the podcast. Genuinely, they used to make my parents aghast. Right. Well, I'm going to end the podcast now. So that is the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've had a fantastic November and that you are beating your backlog and that December opens itself up to many new games, which it will do on the 2nd since 3 massive
Yes,
ones are
lots
coming out
coming.
straight away.
So much happening.
But we'll catch you next time. We've got more podcasts coming every 2 weeks. We are back here on the sofa chatting away. So we'll see you again for the next one. Thanks again. Bye.
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 PlayStation